What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of The Fantasy Football Addicts. I'm your host, Austin, joined by Nick and Wyatt. And today we have another great episode for you. It's going to be another ADP smash or pass episode. And what we're going to do is we're going to start doing these once a week with 8 new players every single time. It's going to become a series that we do. It's going to come out like every Friday. So you can look forward to these at the end of your week. Just a reminder, if you haven't seen our first ADP smash or pass episode, go check it out. What we do is we give you 8 players and give you their positional ADP and their overall ADP, and we decide whether we will smash the draft button or pass on them. Love this video. It's one of my favorite ones to shoot. So with that being said, let's get into it. Y'all ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
If you do enjoy this video at any point during the video, go down, drop a like, subscribe, go follow us on Twitter at the FF Addicts.
Give some suggestions on who you'd want to see in a Smash or Pass video.
Tell us who you want to see on a future Smash or Pass video. We're going to cover a lot of people. So with that being said, number 1 on the list is going to be someone we recently just talked about is Keenan Allen, going as wide receiver 20 and 48 overall. I'll start, and I'm going to go with pass, sadly, because we did mention that we do think Keenan Allen does deserve the respect that he's earned. But, however, I'm just not interested in that offense, except for maybe Austin Eckler, because the new quarterback, this quarterback situation with maybe a rookie coming in, it's just something I'm not really sure I want to deal with. And it's just a lot of question marks for me. And him going as wide receiver 20 is not too high for the production. He probably will outproduce that slightly, I think. He might finish right around there, but I just think the question marks are too big for me, and I think I can get someone else in that range that I know is a lot safer. So I'm a pass.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to pass as well. Keenan Allen and Mike Evans are actually 2 guys who I don't think that they've gotten the respect they deserve. And I feel bad because I am going to pass on Keenan Allen. I'm not going to give him the respect I think he does deserve. I think he will finish wide receiver 20, but I'm not worried about that. It's the 48 overall. I don't think I want to take Keenan Allen as a top 50 player this year. That just scares me too much. Tyrod scares me. I know Tyrod's a good game manager, but how often is he going to go to Keenan Allen? He still has Hunter Henry there, who is healthy, can play very well at a very high level. Austin Eckler, like I've talked about a lot, I love him, and I think that's going to take away from Keenan Allen as well.
I'm going to go ahead and smash Keenan Allen, and this is surprising me because usually when, an older wide receiver, and I'm super big on quarterback situation as far as receiver value is concerned, but I do think that Keenan Allen is probably the one of, if not the best route runner in the NFL. And the dude's an absolute beast. He gets disrespected every year. And then he goes on an absolute tear, and then sometimes he levels out. But I think the dude's an animal. I think taking him at 20 is probably right, and that's with the risk value that you're taking with Tyrod. Phillip Rivers isn't there, obviously. But I think that Tyrod is a good game manager. He's the best option and one of the only options in that offense for Tyrod, who I think is a totally viable quarterback in the NFL. And I think his value only goes up once Herbert gets in that rotation, which might take half the season. I think Herbert won't start until like Thanksgiving or later. But I think that Herbert coming in only increases Keenan Allen's value, and he usually starts hot. So give me Keenan Allen with Tyrod, and then he's going to be better as the season goes on once Herbert gets in there, in my opinion. It was just going to be slinging the ball all over the place. And I'm okay with taking that risk on a guy who could be a number 1 through a top 5 receiver. And then I think at the worst, he's like 25. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's very 50-50 for me. And someone else who's kind of 50-50 for me right now is Jared Cook, going as tight end 10 and 92 overall. And I'm going to have to pass. As a Saints fan, this hurts me, but I'm going to pass on him solely because he had 43 catches last year and 9 touchdowns, which is why he finished so high as high as he did. He just that offense now it adds Emmanuel Sanders. I think that's going to decrease his target share once again. I think Alvin Kamara staying healthy all 16 games is also going to decrease his target share a little bit. I think there's just too many weapons better than Jared Cook to go around. I know he's a good touchdown magnet, but who knows with Emmanuel Sanders coming in? You never know how the touchdowns are going to shake out, and it's just something that I'm not – he probably will finish the top 10 tight end. It's very 50-50 for me. I'm kind of I don't know where I have him in my rankings anymore, but it's just another one I'm not really sold on yet with how many touchdowns he had per receptions. His touchdown percentage was too high, and that's got to come down. That's going to decrease his overall value, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to smash Jared Cook. So here's why. I think Alvin Kamara coming back into a healthy season, hopefully it's going to spread the field out because Alvin Kamara is not a run in between the tackles kind of guy. Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas, all can play on the outside. That whole field is going to be spaced out, leaving the middle of the field open for Jared Cook. So I think the receptions go up. I don't think 43 is where he's going to stay. I think he's going to go a lot higher than 43 receptions this year. And I think the touchdowns will go down. I mean, that's hard. I mean, he was at a 25%, almost a 25% reception to touchdown. So I don't think that's possible. Like, I just don't even know how he did that last year, to be honest. But I think the receptions go up, the yards go up with that. And I think that makes up for it. I do see him as a top 10 tight end. I would rather have one of the guys earlier. But if I haven't taken one of the earlier guys, I have no issue taking Jared Cook.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and follow Mike's lead on this. I think we've almost had this exact discussion before about Cook. The exact same thing. Sanders is going to space out that offense. It's going to leave the middle wide open. And I do think the touchdown regression is going to occur. He's probably going to sit somewhere around the 5 number if I had to guess, which is fine with me from your tight end. But I think the yardage is going to be big. And I think the offense, like I said, is just going to be spread out. Kamara is going to be very good this year. You've got the backfield, both sides to worry about. You've got the outside. Like, he's not by far the best option in that offense, but he's going to be open on those misreads over the middle by the linebackers. And I think he's honestly just going to sit in between the lines this year and just wait for Drew Brees to throw him the ball. So, okay with that.
I'm a little worried if we're projecting. I don't know how we're projecting his targets to go up while adding a very good wide receiver. He's an injury risk as well. He missed a lot of games with injury. He's getting older. He may have lost a step. I don't know. It's a fair argument on either side. I think you could see his targets go up, but you could also see the touchdowns go down.
See, I think the targets are going to actually come from Michael Thomas because I think it's almost impossible for him to get just as many targets as he did last year. Because he was like I don't have the number in front of me, but I mean he's probably pretty close to like 180, 190 targets.
He had like 30 something % of the team's target share, which is insane.
Yeah. So I think that's a lot. That's a lot. Of the targets that Jared Cook is going to actually get, in my opinion.
And Michael Thomas also barely eclipsed like 1,400 yards or whatever it was. There were guys very close behind him with far fewer targets. So I think that just shows how inefficient those targets were. Yes, it's Michael Thomas. Yes, he's going to catch them, but you're losing significant yardage because you're forcing it to a guy that the defense knows. I think you spread the ball out, you're getting more value out of those receptions as opposed to just funneling Michael Thomas, which is great for fantasy value for Michael Thomas. I think this year his value goes down because of the offense being spread out.
And that's going to take us to our third option today, and that's going to be DeVante Parker, wide receiver for the Dolphins, going as wide receiver 27 and 63 overall. I'm a hard pass on DeVante Parker this year, which is sad because I actually had him in one of my dynasty leagues. But I don't like him this year. After the first 8 weeks, he was actually being outscored by Preston Williams. And he really, really shot up after Preston Williams got hurt. He was pretty much the only viable option besides Mike Gesicki. And we've seen the last 4 years, DeVante Parker has been a bust. He was one of the worst busts in fantasy football until last year, the last 8 games, he finished wide receiver 7. He finished wide receiver 7 last year, and I don't think there's any way that happens again with Preston Williams staying healthy. And also you throw in the quarterback situation. You don't know who's going to play quarterback for how long, and it's just a lot of question marks. And I think Preston Williams is the better option. You're going to get him way later. I think he's going to produce equally, if not better, than DeVante Parker, and you get him so many rounds later. So I'm going to pass on DeVante Parker.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that Preston Williams is actually going to finish higher than DeVante Parker, and I can get him way later in the draft. So I'm going to pass on DeVante Parker with the intention of getting Preston Williams later in the draft. That's just me. The quarterback situation also scares me because you could get Fitz magic or you could get Fitz trash, and then Tua comes in, and then you don't know. It's a rookie quarterback, and you don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, you can give a good guess, but you can't predict it. Like, you can't just say Tua is going to come in and go to DeVante Parker all the time. You can't say he's going to come in and throw it to Preston Williams either. So that scares me for both of them. But I'd rather have if I'm going to take either of them, I'm taking Preston Williams later.
10 rounds later,
Yeah, so I do agree that if I had the choice between Preston Williams and DeVante Parker, I'm obviously taking Preston Williams just because of the ADP and the value. But here's the thing, I'm definitely smashing DeVante Parker. And that's because I actually love the situation that the Dolphins have this year. I don't think that they're an irrelevant fantasy team. I don't think they're an irrelevant NFL team. They were in a lot of games last year that a team who's tanking has no business being. And I think they just proved that they are a good football team. They just needed some help. I love, like, Fitzmagic is Fitzmagic. And if he's not, then you're getting Tua. That's what's happening. And I really like Tua. He dominated the SEC. And that's basically NFL junior. So I think he's going to be fine in the NFL, and I like Parker and Preston Williams' value, like, with Tua in there so much more. But Fitzmagic can also air it out for like 600 yards and 6 touchdowns in a game because the dude's an absolute freak. So I think that regardless, both of the receivers are going to perform a lot higher. So DeVante Parker, I have no problem. Give me that.
So that's going to take us to a fan favorite around here on the channel is going to be DJ Chark, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, going as wide receiver 22 and 56 overall. I'm a huge smash on DJ Chark. We've all talked about over and over how we think that Gardner Minshew is going to be a viable option this year and going to take another step forward in that offense. I think the addition of Laviska Shenault helps him. I think it takes away a lot of the coverage because he was literally the only viable receiver last year, and he still put up great numbers with Minshew. So I think Laviska is going to kind of help spread the defense out on them. And I think DJ Chark is in for another fantastic year, and I think he's going to do it all year long. I'm going to smash him right here.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to smash him. He's being taken as wide receiver 22, and I think he has the chance of finishing as a top 15 guy this year, especially because the Minshew thing. That them two last year, they had the insane stack. I've said it over and over again, but it's the truth. It happened last year. It's going to happen again this year. And Laviska Shenault does absolutely help DJ Chark because then they don't have to spend all of their time looking at DJ Chark. They got to spread it out a little bit. So I think DJ Chark's in for a huge year.
Yeah, I think people are over criticizing Gardner Minshew, and just like he was really good when he was on the field last year. I don't think they're going to be a great team, but I'm absolutely smashing DJ Chark, and I think they're a less quality version of like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, but an improved version of Andy Dalton and AJ Green, which is probably a better comparison because the team situation. But I think they're going to be really good. They're going to be losing a lot of games. That defense has nothing left to play for. They've lost all their talent. But it's kind of reversed as it was. Like Blake Bortles was terrible and the offense struggled and their defense was so good. And now it's totally flipped. And they're going to be in games where they're going to have to just let it air out. DJ Chark and Minshew have obviously shown they have a great connection, and Chark's an absolute insane receiver. So I think he might be putting up 20-25 points a game this year. Honestly, so
it's definitely within
I'm smashing
his
DJ Chark for sure.
Yeah, and that's going to take us to our number 5 option today is Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Indianapolis Colts, going as RB16, ADP 54 overall. And this one pains me because we've been in dynasty mode the last few months.
Yep.
But for redraft purposes, which is what this is for, I'm passing Jonathan Taylor for this year and this year only. And here's why. I know all the good things. They're at the number like top 3 offensive line. They run the ball well. Jonathan Taylor is the next Saquon. Apparently, he's a very good talent. I'm just not sold on the fact that he's going to see all of the touches. I think there's going to be a 3-headed backfield. The coaches come out and said you can see Nyheim Hines getting 10 catches in a game. Marlon Mack is still there, and he's shown to be a good running back. Vegas has Jonathan Taylor's total rushing yards on the season set over under at 700. So Vegas always wins, right? So they kind of know about where the guy's usually going to finish. And 700 rushing yards is not where I want a guy I have to take as RB16. I think he will finish probably back end RB2 this year. After this year, once Marlon Mack's gone, as we assume he will be, I think he's going to be a top 5 running back every year probably. But this year for redraft, I'm going to have to pass on Jonathan Taylor, sadly.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on Jonathan Taylor too. I mean, he's in a tricky situation because he is such an insane talent. Like he's easily the best talented running back coming out of this last year's draft. Right. And it kind of sucks because he's going to Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines just waiting for him. So he's going to have to win over a job for him to be fantasy relevant. And I'm just not – I just don't want to wait for it. If he fell quite a bit farther, like on the other side of the RB20 range, I'm willing to take him because I probably would have had 2 or 3 running backs already. And I think back half of the year, he's going to be insane. But I can't wait for the back half of the year because I need to win games in the front half of the year too.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna smash Jonathan Taylor, and I think this is strictly just like an upside thing.
Bias.
Not only are you getting, like, it's not like you're drafting Tony Pollard and waiting for Zeke to go down. You're getting a guy who's probably getting you, 10 fantasy points a week or whatever until he's the dominant guy. And Marlon Mack could go down week 1. I don't think Naheem Hines is going to be a factor. He'll have like 5 catches a game, but I think Jonathan Taylor can catch passes, and he's going to catch passes. So I think that takes away from Hines. I don't think that makes him a James White in this offense. I think he's just going to get filtered out eventually. And I do think Jonathan Taylor is going to take over in this offense. I think Marlon Mack will have a role at first, and then might even be in training camp. They're like, this kid's special with RO line. We might just like, I think the fact that his rushing line at 700 is insane, because I think if he does, he could take over middle of the season and break that by a mile. So, I mean, I think the dude's an absolute animal. I think he could win you a league. I don't think you're spending a ton of draft capital for that potential. So for me, if I'm drafting well, and I feel comfortable with my roster, that I'm going to be able to win in the first few weeks and not be, 0-4 and struggling to get into playoffs, or 2-2, whatever. If I think I've got a solid base, then I have no problem taking Jonathan Taylor, and you might end up with a nasty 3 running back stack.
Yeah, I think he's a huge target for a buy low candidate, because he's going to be taken at RB15 or RB16. So at the beginning of the year, he's not going to get a whole lot of work. His numbers are going to be down, and whoever drafted him is going to be like, hey, what did I do with this guy? You buy him low, and then back half of the year, you got him for the back half of the year for half the price, and now you just want to league because you
absolutely, like, you're definitely playing the long game if you're drafting Jonathan Taylor as far as this season is concerned. So don't sell him if you're freaking out after week 1.
And his value has been decreasing as the summer's gone along, because I remember I was doing some mock drafts right after the draft. He was going in like late 2nd round. Now he's fallen back to like the 4th and 5th round.
Yeah, right after the real draft, people get overhyped these rookies. And
so his value is decreasing, which if he could fall just a little bit more, I might be willing to hit it, and so you don't have to risk as much. But right now I'm off. Taking this down to number 6, and it's going to be Christian Kirk, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, wide receiver 37, and going 94th overall. I'm a soft smash right here. I think I'm gonna smash Christian Kirk this year. I do think Larry Fitzgerald's kind of on his farewell tour. I don't think he's going to be a super threat for targets. I think Kyler Murray, another year in the offense, is obviously going to improve. And the addition of DeAndre Hopkins on the other side, I think, is huge. I think Christian Kirk is not really meant to be an alpha number 1 receiver in an offense. I think he's a very good number 2. I think a lot of the attention is going to go to D-Hop, and that's going to leave Christian Kirk open a lot. And you're getting him in the 10th round, wide receiver 37. He's shown that he can put up good numbers. He had some weeks last year that were incredible. I know he was on my team, and he could do that week in and week out if he just has someone on the other side to give him some help, and what he does now. So I think he's a smash for me right now.
So yeah, I think he's an absolute smash, break the keyboard kind of guy at wide receiver 37, because I think the DeAndre Hopkins thing and Christian Kirk, it helps him so much, because he's going to be so open all the time. Kyler Murray was a stud last year, and I think he's going to be even better than he was last year. Larry Fitzgerald is on his last legs. I mean, he's like a Frank Gore for the receivers. Honestly, like, we've been waiting for him to retire for like the last 8 years, it feels like. And I think this, like you said, this is his farewell tour. He's just going to go and play just to say goodbye to everybody. That's all he's doing, really. And Christian Kirk, I think he's the guy. Like, he's the number 2 guy. Like, he's the one that Kyler Murray's going to be targeting when D-Hop has 4 guys covering him.
Yeah, no, for me, I think this is just 1 year too early. I'm going to pass on Christian Kirk, and here's why. Larry Fitzgerald is not an irrelevant fantasy receiver. He's old and he is slow, but he had more touchdown receptions than drops last year. The dude is an absolute animal. Like, he's going to be on the field. He doesn't get hurt. He's a stud, and I think he's a comfort blanket as far as, like, Kyler Murray knows that if he's got to go somewhere, that's where he's going to go. D-Hop, the connection's not going to be there, but he's still an elite receiver, top 3 in the game for sure. So that's a ton of receptions right there. And Christian Kirk is an absolute animal. He reminds me of Will Fuller so much in that Texans offense before it just fell apart and D-Hop moved there. So I really think that's what you're getting. And in 1 year, when Larry Fitz is gone, Christian Kirk's an absolute stud. Like, I don't disagree with that at all. But I think here I'm going to pass just because I think it's 1 year too early. Kenyon Drake's going to be catching a lot of passes out of that backfield. I think he is going to have good weeks when him and Kyler just click and they're dominating. I think they're going to be a good team this year. But I don't think this is the year.
I do see that. Your argument is very, very valid. I am kind of torn. That's why I'm kind of a soft smash. I do think Larry Fitzgerald is still going to be a good receiver. He's going to take some targets, but I am worried about that defense. I think that defense is still atrocious, and I think they're going to be passing the ball enough to get all three of them good volume, and especially Christian Kirk being open as the number 2. So that's going to take us to A.J. Brown, wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, going as wide receiver 16, 42 overall. I am very torn on this one. I think I'm going to go very, very, very soft smash. I think I'm so torn
It's
right
smash
now.
or pass. Come on now.
It's
I'm gonna
smash
go-
or
I'm gonna
pass.
go-
There's no pressing.
I'm going to smash. I do think he's very talented. I just I'm worried about the passing volume in that offense. I think they're once again going to run the ball more. That's what they want to do. They want to play good defense and just run the clock out with Derrick Henry. But I think A.J. Brown is going to be very efficient with his targets. I'm hoping that the league doesn't figure him out and just triple cover him, as there's not very many other receiving options in that offense, which does kind of worry me. But I do think A.J. Brown is a very good talent. I think he's going to perform right around between 12 and 16. I think he's going to slightly outperform his ADP right now.
I'm absolutely smashing AJ Brown again. I think I've said this before, but he has identical numbers as Julio did in his rookie year, and I think that's only going to continue to go up. Yeah, there's not that many targets that are going to be going around, but I don't think the Titans are a team that are going to win 11. I think they're going to win less than 11 games for sure. And those other games, they are going to throw the ball a lot. They don't have a choice because they can't mount a comeback on the back of Derrick Henry. So A.J. Brown, he's going to be catching a lot of passes. They have Jonnu Smith there, who's going to be catching passes too, who's going to draw attention. And the biggest worry for A.J. Brown for me is actually Ryan Tannehill, because he scares me because he played well last year, but every year before that, he was not good. So that's the only thing that scares me. A.J. Brown, I think, is going to be a stud. I think he's easily like a top 12 wide receiver this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pass on A.J. Brown. And I don't love it, and I'm actually higher on Tannehill than most people are. I think most people are like, oh, recency bias, whatever. No, I think he's a legitimate quarterback. I think he's fine. He's also an Aggie, so there's that. Man's just better. And I don't know. Obviously there's a volume concern there, but I think A.J. Brown is just the guy and pretty much the only guy. And I think them signing Tannehill and then Henry right after was like a pressure move. I just don't love the situation there. I think they had one good year and they're trying to like hold on to that for dear life and hope they can stay good. And I don't think it's going to work. I think Henry falls apart sooner rather than later. I mean, he might be, again, a dominant running back this year, but I think they're going to try to force to recreate what they had last year. And I think they really just got lucky. Like, you know, going to Foxborough and beat the Pats and then you beat the Ravens. Like, I think it was all clicking. And if they were going to win, they were going to win last year and they didn't. And I think they really should have kind of redirected their offense, signed a quality quarterback, picked up another receiver, and then let Derrick Henry run the ball like he was last year at less volume. A.J. Brown is just not the move this year. I'm going to go ahead and pass.
I mean, everything you just said sounds like you're making it lose a lot of games. And if they're losing games, they're throwing the ball and it's not going to Derrick Henry.
I don't think they're losing like a lot of games. I think it might be 8-8, 9-7, whatever. Their defense is still really good. Like, so they're not going to be in shootouts.
I think Wyatt's saying they're not going to be as efficient as they were last year with that offense.
Yeah, no, you're going to have a lot of slow-paced games where their defense is stopping, their offense isn't working, the clock is running, and A.J. Brown's getting 5 receptions for 45 yards. And you're like, what the heck? So
I could see both sides of the coin on that one. That's why I'm kind of iffy, but I'm still a little smashed on A.J. Brown. And this is going to take us to our last guy and someone I am planting my flag in, and because Boomer Sooner, it's going to be Baker Mayfield, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, going as QB 14 and 110 overall. And guys, I'm calling this now. If we had to pick a very, 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 very dark horse for the Super Bowl team, like someone that not many people are picking, it's going to be the Cleveland Browns for me. You could argue the fact that Baker Mayfield could have an MVP type season this year if they do what I want them to do. And he's going to take a big step forward. Freddie Kitchens is gone. I think they're going to let Baker Mayfield take that step forward. The offensive line is improved. You have Kareem Hunt for all 16 games. We talked about how we love this offense this year. And I'm smashing Baker Mayfield. This is the hardest smash of the year for me so far, is Baker Mayfield as QB 14. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year because I know he has the talent. I saw him do it at an OU. I saw him do it his first year in the NFL. I think he's an absolute dog. He has the heart. He's my favorite type of player. I got his jersey, so I got to stick with my man Baker Mayfield. Boomer Sooner.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna smash as well. I think I talked about Odell in the last Smash or Pass video and how I thought he was going to take a huge step forward, and part of that is because I think Baker Mayfield will take a huge step forward as well. Last year, Baker Mayfield he targeted Jarvis Landry a lot more than he did Odell last year, and I think that's because Odell it's a new face there. I think they had Jarvis Landry a while before, a couple months. Baker Mayfield had the chemistry with Jarvis Landry last year, and Odell was playing with a hernia, which it's hard to get open with a hernia. I mean, I don't know how he didn't for somebody who's supposed to complain all the time, I didn't hear him
I
once
didn't
say
even know.
anything. Yeah, I didn't know. He didn't say one thing about having a hernia until the season was over and he got surgery for it. So I think that's going to help Baker Mayfield. Freddie Kitchens was straight poo, and a new head coach is going to help him tremendously. And they also got two tight ends who are straight goons. They got Austin Hooper and David Njoku, Kareem Hunt's there. That offense is made for Baker Mayfield to succeed. And if he doesn't do it this year, he is done, and I'm never putting any faith in him again.
Yeah, his back's against the wall this year, and I think he's exactly the type of person that succeeds when his back's against the wall.
Yeah, for me, this one's tough. I'm gonna smash, and I don't like it, but I think you have to. I think this is very similar to like the first year Odell was there, and everyone was like, "The Browns are winning the Super Bowl." Like it was crazy, like the amount of people that were on the Browns bandwagon, and I did not buy that at all. And they were solid, and then they were absolute garbage last year. So I think that Baker does. Hopefully, Baker's the only part that I'm like a giant question mark on. As far as the rest of the situation, I absolutely love it. Like the team, the defense is great. The weapons around him are great. They should make the playoffs, no problem. They're like the Cowboys at this point as far as like talent to performance ratio. It's like you're just waiting for it to step up, and when it does, it's supposed to be massive. So it's like you're just waiting. It's like a penny stock. You just want it to shoot up. So like Baker could go off this year and be like a top 5 QB, and you're like, yes, we all knew it was gonna happen. Or they could suck and come in last place, and we're all like, we all knew it was going to happen. Either way, it makes no sense. But I love his weapons. I love his options. I think he showed that he's capable of it. He's slightly inaccurate, but I don't know how you don't with those weapons. I think Stefanski's going to utilize the heck out of those running backs. Like Hunt and Chubb are getting both workhorse workloads this year, just in different ways. Hunt's catching 1 million passes and Chubb's running for 1 million yards, which it's not going to be great for fantasy. And obviously, like you want one workhorse back, but they're going to get so much use. And the wide receivers, like it's just, can Baker do it? And I think we all are just like, we can see the case that he can. We can see the case that he can't. I really hope he does. I think it'll make the NFL a lot better.
Yeah, me too.
Browns do good would just make the NFL crazy.
Yeah, I would love it. So that is going to do it for another ADP Smasher Pass episode, part 2. We're going to be bringing these to you every week on a Friday, so keep your eye out for them. Let us know who you want to see in a future ADP Smasher Pass video in the comments. If you liked the video, if you got any value from it, leave a like, subscribe. Also, go follow us on Twitter at the FF Addicts. You know the drill. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Addicts. Peace.
Draft Clyde.
And